I take this opportunity on behalf of I Am the Change Initiative on Sustainability and Social Responsibility and the Enactors Club to welcome you all to the 12th edition of I Am the Change Talk with your head and heart crafting an impactful career.
This afternoon, we're honored to have with us a leading voice in the fields of sustainability and social responsibility, Mr. Shraman Jha. We are eager to hear his insights and engage in a thought provoking discussion with him. Let's officially begin this event. We have gathered here for an auspicious occasion. Therefore, let's begin with a beautiful and symbolic tradition of lighting the lamp. It symbolizes unity and togetherness for a common purpose. I would request our guest, Mr. Shraman Jha, Dr. Vishal Talwar, Dr. Barnali Chakladhar, Dr. Akarsh Arora, Dr. Sapna Tyagi, Dr. Gunjan Agarwal, Dr. Gurneet Singh, Lieutenant Colonel Somesh Gupta, Dr. Harvinder Singh, Dr. Abhishek Agarwal, Dr. Ranjana Agarwal, Dr. Nivisha Gupta, Dr. Kaustubh Chakravarti, Dr. Abhishek Kumar, Mr. Rajkishore Pandey, Mr. Bahuguna, and Ms. Shalini Kashyap to come up on the stage. Sir, we request everyone to stay on the stage for a group photo. We also request the other faculty members to please join us on the stage.
We also request all the officers to be on the stage. I would now request Dr. Vishal Talwar and Dr. Akash Arora to felicitate our guest with a welcome bouquet and a token of appreciation.
I would now request Dr. Vishal Talwar to address everyone who's gathered here today.
So this is permanent now? Okay, I think before we begin, my simple request to you in these obviously testing times, testing because there's something obviously important that's going on for you, which is the placement season, is to reduce the hum and the drum in the room, please. Yeah. I think we all like to be listened to, and especially us faculty, we would love to be listened to as much as we possibly can. And your cross conversations don't enable our voice to be thrown as far as we would like it to. That's what the life is, that's what reality is. And my request for the next 1.5 hours is to please respect that. Thank you very much. An absolute pleasure to be here. I think I was here last year as well. And the SSR team never stops surprising us with the level of intellect and with the level of input that they bring in every time. And that's absolutely important because you as business leaders, and this is something that I was speaking to the outgoing batch of 2024, is that as business leaders, there's a lot of different kinds of pressure on you. You will have to be able to perform in terms of your job description and whatever else. You have to be able to also, over a period of time, be people who are healers, right? And you might wonder, why am I using the word healers? And it's not very difficult to know and understand that your existence in an organization, whether it's your own, whether it is an organization that you've committed to work for, will require you to undo fissures, will require you to kind of maybe at times paper over the cracks, but will definitely require you to be able to reduce the strains, the trials and tribulations of existence in the institution, not just in the processes, but also in the people, right? You'll come across so many different kinds of individuals there and so many demands on you as an individual that at times you'll be found wanting. And it's courses like these, right, which we brought out from the hidden side. Look, when you're going through a journey, whether it's a 2-year journey, 3-year journey, or 4-year journey in an academic institution or university, the two kinds of curriculum that are in operation at the same time. One is the actual curriculum that you learn, and then you kind of hopefully do well and get your CGPA or whatever else. And the rest is known as the hidden curriculum, right? In the 2 years, and the hidden curriculum doesn't just happen in the classrooms. Hidden curriculum happens outside the classrooms as well. A lot of workshops that you do, a lot of committee projects that you're part of, a lot of other aspects that you manifest for yourself are all part of the hidden curriculum, which in my opinion is as important, and sometimes in my opinion is more important than what you study in the classroom. That makes what you want to become later on as business professionals. And of course, what I mentioned earlier is healers. What we have done at IMT Ghaziabad, and I must say very successfully, because of the SSR team, because of Professor Kasturi Das, because of Professor Akarsh, because of Professor Sapna Tyagi, and everybody here, I'm not being able to name everyone, is that we brought out the hidden curriculum into the reality of the classroom and not just as something which is subtle. Yeah. A lot of you, I'm sure, will use the SSR projects as part of the curriculum as a life-changing exercise for your own selves. Some of you might sit on the fence and wonder, why am I doing all this? But all of you, I'm sure, will one day recollect a lot of the learnings that you got through the project, whether subtly or not necessarily as subtle. The uses will become important to you as you lead your life successfully in varied organizations. The projects that you do, the kind of people that you mix with, the kind of realities that you observe outside will hopefully take you into uncomfortable zones, uncomfortable positions, and also get accustomed to uncomfortable realities that exist out there. I'm sure, and I would urge you to learn from them as much as you can. We're all in a cocoon. A lot of us here, when you came in 2023, it must have been the first time you all actually came out of your comfort zones, came into another comfort zone. You came out from one comfort zone into another comfort zone. Let's be frank and let's be fair here. The project will help you understand how life is, how India is, and how possibly you should be shaping yourself as you go on your journey. Right? So the whole idea of this project is to be able to sensitize and in the process help you believe that you can create impact much beyond just a job role that you are or you will be accustomed to. So I really appreciate and really thank everyone who's been part of this journey. IMT Ghaziabad has been pioneers of I Am the Change and the whole series around it. It's not just about I Am the Change talk, but it is also about the whole impetus that the entire institution has on ensuring that you get more contemporary learning through the curriculum, right? Of course, as a start, we've always had the pleasure of having someone from the outside, the corporate world, or from other worlds who have made a huge difference to people to come along and have a conversation with you. Because these conversations are important, because these conversations help you realize what is achievable, what can create an impact, and what's something that is important and should be done as we go forward. Whilst we think about a particular job role, you should start thinking about how you're going to map your journeys and your life, and in the process, the impact you want to create. And someone like who we have today with us, we are fortunate to have Mr. Shraman Jha with us, who will be able to talk about his journey, who will be able to talk about what he has been doing, and in the context of you and what you could possibly do, what you might actually face. I'm sure it'll be an interesting conversation. I'm sure there'll be opportunities for you to ask questions, right? But don't lose the opportunity is my only request. So a very quick formal welcome. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Let's have a big round of applause. With a corporate career spanning over 30 years in diverse industries and emerging markets in India, Bangladesh, Africa, and the Middle East, Mr. Shraman Jha is passionate about advocating for water security and environmental sustainability. And I'm sure a lot of you realize the importance of water security, which is fundamental to the existence of a country like India. A strong believer in the power of sustainable solutions, Shraman emphasizes how water connects every aspect of our lives and that of the planet as a whole. He underscores the critical links between water security, women's welfare, and youth engagement in innovative agricultural solutions. He advocates for inclusive, innovative approaches that blend traditional wisdom with technology-driven solutions to ensure water security, all for a better life. I was previously reading an article wherein possibly over a period of time, India's dependence on external water imports will be rather high. I don't know. I mean, you might second that if you don't do things. There were conversations possibly a few years back where water could be imported from places like, Canada and Alaska or those kind of places. I hope we don't have to see those days, but the importance of water is very high, and Mr. Shraman Jha is in the forefront of being able to enable water security. He holds an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, an MA in Economics from the University of Pune, and a BA Honours in Economics from St. Stephen's in Delhi. He's also a Salzburg Global Seminar 21st Century Trust Fellow and a British Chevening Senior Scholar at the London School of Economics, reflecting his commitment to continuous learning. At present, Shraman serves as the CEO of the Hindustan Unilever Foundation and co-chair of the FICCI Water Mission. Prior to this, he worked with the World Wildlife Fund, advancing its conservation and sustainability agenda. His volunteering extends to serving on the global board of GalvMed, a Scotland-based nonprofit supporting small-scale livestock producers in sub-Saharan Africa. An immense pleasure to have you here today, and we look forward to listening to you. Thank you so much.
Now we have Professor Kasturi Das joining us online. Kasturi ma'am is a Fulbright Climate Fellow for Academics and Professional Excellence and a visiting fellow at Yale School of Environment, Yale University. On to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon once again, and welcome once again to Shamanji. As I speak, I know it's afternoon there. That's why I'm saying good afternoon, but it's early morning in this part of the world, and I think it's a very special morning as United States decides the next leader for them. But what makes this morning really special for me is that I'm getting an opportunity to be with all of you, the future leaders of our country. I'm really grateful to Professor Vishal Talwar, Director, IMT Ghaziabad, Professor Akash Arwa, Chairperson, Sustainability and Social Responsibility, Professor Swapna Tyagi, Co-Chairperson, Professor Rakesh Singh, Professor Barnali Chakladar, and the entire SSR team, and all my faculty colleagues, and all my officers and staff colleagues who are present here, for having me here to interact with all of you on a day when Shramanji is here to deliver the 12th I Am the Change talk that marks the launch of the 8th edition of our very own sustainability and social responsibility course that our students fondly call the SSR course. It is indeed my honor and privilege to be able to interact with Shramanji, even if it is virtually. We are connected on LinkedIn, but honestly, this is my first opportunity to interact with you, Shramanji. So thank you very much, and once again, welcome. What also connects us is that both of us are also associated with the Chevening Fellowship of UK government, and that's a great honor that we are connected with that. I have not been able to sleep tonight because I have been waiting to interact with all of you. So I have been checking on and off the election results through the night. I also did one thing. I was just browsing through the LinkedIn profile of Shramanji. And what an incredible journey he has got. Like Professor Vishal Talwar already has taken us through his journey. But what really is incredible about his journey is the kind of range he has got, be it in terms of the kind of roles he has assumed, be it in terms of the organizations he has worked with, be it in terms of the different parts of the world he has worked with. So it's absolutely incredible and amazing for me. And it's really a great honor to have you here, Shramanji, to deliver this talk and mark the launch of the SSR course this year. I'd also like to congratulate Professor Akash Arora and Professor Swapna Tyagi, Ms. Shalini Kashyap, and the entire SSR team for bringing the SSR course this year up to this, with all the hard work that it requires. So a big round of applause for all of you. And while going through the profile of Shramanji, I came across two posts that he shared on his profile. I think both the posts were talking about his reflections about his journey. One post, and I'd like to share these two posts with you. One post is titled "Rural India with Unilever," and that post talks about his journey way back in 1993-94. It has a very beautiful picture where we can see very young Shramanji holding up a bicycle and in the background of rural India. And the post says, and I read it for you, one of the truly distinctive and rare experiences as a management trainee was a 2-month tenure in rural India. I enjoyed marinating in the life and character of this world, has stood me in great stead throughout my life. Priceless experience. That was about his post from 1993-94. Another post I came across that is from, where he's reflecting about his journey in 2014. And that post shows him, I think he was dancing with a team of, women belonging to the tribal community. And he has titled the post as Happiness in Different Forms. And he says, as a volunteer on the board with not-for-profits, it is a pleasure to be in the deep rural tribal tracks and see what a difference small but well-executed initiatives can make. The reward is a special welcome. So these two posts attracted my attention because I thought these two posts are so much in alignment with why we all have gathered today, that is about the sustainability and social responsibility course. Why? Because as Professor Talwar already mentioned, that this course will perhaps be a unique opportunity for each one of you to get exposed to that side of our country which we may not be that much familiar with, because our country is characterized by dichotomy. On the one hand, we have the world looking at us as emerging India. On the other, we have so much of deprivation, so much of poverty, and so much of lack of access to the basic necessities of life that still so many people are struggling with. And that's the fact of our life, but we may not be aware of that part of our country, which often we refer to as Bharat. So there is one India and there is Bharat. It's very important for us to be aware of our country and to be familiarized with that part of our country. And I think SSR gives you that opportunity, maybe not in the rural India, because this course happens in a way that doesn't give us the opportunity to send you back to rural India, because it is one day in a week that is demarcated for SSR. But definitely you will get an opportunity to get exposed to urban poverty and the deprivation we get to see in urban India. And it is really striking, if you look at, say, some of the parts in Delhi, many of you come from Delhi, say Safdarjung Enclave, a very posh area of Delhi. If you go there, you'll find one side you have, a lot of riches, a lot of richness, very posh Safdarjung Enclave. On the other side, you have the village. So that shows the kind of dichotomy we have in our country. And it is very important for us to, not only get exposed to that kind of situation, but also to see that how we can actually contribute in our own different ways to make the situation better for the people who are less privileged than all of us are. And that is the purpose of this course. In the parlance of management education, we call this service learning, with a hyphen between service and learning. So SSR is a kind of service learning course. Why it is a service learning course? I'm telling you this because Professor Akash Arora wanted me to explain the course a little bit about its purpose with you. So that's why I'm getting into a little bit details about the course. So we say SSR is a service learning course because on the one hand, it is your opportunity to go and provide your service to the community that you are going to work with. And through the community, you are also getting an opportunity to provide your service to your country. So that is about the service part of it. But as Professor Talwar already mentioned, there will be a lot of learning. And my experience tells me that, often our students focus too much on the service part of it, particularly those who take the course very seriously. They focus too much on the service part of it and, look at it, how much impact they can create. They don't focus that much on the learning part. But I think the way the course has been designed from the very beginning, to me, learning is much more than the service that you can offer. Because think of it in this way that you have, say around 10 visits which are spread across a few weeks. So maybe you get an opportunity to visit your location once a week, and sometimes, there would be a gap of more than 1 week. Now, how much can you deliver in such a short span of time? We call it I Am the Change initiative, but I don't think that we can actually expect to change lives in such a short span of time. Yes, over the years, we have been able to, I would say, change some lives based on our experience. I can say that, but that has only happened in those cases where we have been able to go back to the same community people over and over again. For a single SSR project to deliver in such a way so as to change life, it is very unlikely to happen. However, the challenge that our country throws upon us is also an opportunity for you to contribute to it. So I don't use the term impact when it comes to the contribution of your SSR project on the community or the society, because impact to me is a very heavy term, and it is much more ambitious than we can deliver in over 10 visits. So I say it is an opportunity for you to contribute. So I call it contribution rather than impact. When it comes to learning, I think I would like to mention here that to me, learning is very personal and it is also path dependent. Why I say that? Because path dependence means it depends on from where you are coming, and what you are going to learn now also depends on your past learning. So your past learning influences your future learning and your present learning. That's why there is a path dependence. And why it is personal? Of course, it depends on from where you are coming, what is your upbringing, what you have all learned already. But it also depends on how much you are eager to learn, how much effort you are willing to put in the learning process. That would actually make the difference, despite the fact that say 8 people in a particular team of SSR team may get exposed to the same situation, but the learning could be very different from one person to another. I would like to mention here that please focus on the learning part of it. Don't neglect that part. What may be your learning? Sometimes students ask that, why this kind of course and what can we learn out of it? I can actually talk so many things about your learning that you can learn. Professor Talwar already mentioned certain things, but I would not like to get into those details because I think it's important that you go there and try to find out what you are going to learn. What is important is that you get to reflect. Once you are coming back from your field visit, take some 5-10 minutes away from your very busy schedule to reflect on the journey of that particular day. What touched you most? What did you learn new? What is something that you found to be very striking? Think about those. Maybe write it down for yourself. Apart from doing all the required things as part of the course, please do reflect. That's very important for your SSR journey. I was talking about Shramanji's second post where he talked about the happiness, and why I thought that post is also very, very relevant. That takes me back to the very beginning of SSR course, way back in 2016 when it started. There was a lot of struggle, but there was a lot of passion also in starting the course. And any good thing has to go through the struggle to build it. So we, all of us, had to go through it. But I still remember that the first field visit had just happened, and I was really anxious that what would be the experience of the students and how they would react to it. How they are going to share it with the people. Back then, Instagram was not that popular. Facebook was more popular, and I was, connected with many of my students back then on Facebook. And I still remember the first social media post I saw on a Facebook page of a student of the first batch of SSR, that is 2016-18 batch. Her name is Shriya, and I still remember that. And Shriya and her team, she was a team leader, and they were working in a school in Ghaziabad. And the post that she made on the Facebook actually was a selfie with her team as well as the small kids in the school in the Ghaziabad where they worked. It was a beautiful selfie, and the post mentioned SSR is equal to happiness. So that's why when I saw the post that Shramanji had made about the various happiness that one get in getting exposed to this kind of background, this kind of situations, I was reminded of that particular experience and that particular passion with which Shriya and her team made that post. So that brings me to the other objective of SSR, that is joy of contribution. So that is also one of the course objectives we have embedded in SSR. So as you prepare for your SSR journey with the orientation coming up, the project would be distributed, I'm sure, very soon. Orientation would happen, and then you will start going to the field. My request, I won't even say it's my advice, I would say it's my request to each one of you that don't take it like a ticking the box exercise, and don't treat it like any other course, because it's a very different kind of course. Put your best foot forward and see what happens. I'm sure you won't regret, and maybe it may be a game-changing experience, life-changing experience for you, who knows. Leave it for the future to decide, but put your best foot forward. And most importantly, enjoy the journey. I wish you and the entire SSR team all the best. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you. And look forward to hear Shramanji deliver his talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. Now I would like to invite our esteemed guest, Mr. Shraman Jha, to address the crowd.
Good afternoon. This session is not about me. It's not about my journey. It is about you. Very much about you. At the outset, I was very pleasantly surprised to have Professor Kasturi online, though we've been connected for a long period of time, but I didn't know that she was so closely connected with this course. And if anything, we even exchanged a line or two on LinkedIn just a day before. So very, very pleasant surprise indeed. Professor Vishal, Professor Akash, and all the other professors, and Professor Abhishek, who actually told me so much about the institute and how it has shaped up, which I had no clue about, and that was very accidental. So today I was just reflecting that, we are a Purani model ki gaadi. And most of you were, I think none of you would have been born around the time that we were in your shoes. But when I was in the beginning of my second year of MBA, I had only one objective. Kisi tarah se khatam ho, placement mile, and let us start earning. That was the sole motivating factor. I had two of your colleagues who received me, and I asked them, how was your internship? They said, very good. I said, paisa mila. So that was, and you could see the glee. And for us also in that time, getting a radio or something like that was the excitement that we've been able to earn enough. So let's be very direct and open about it, that we've chosen a particular path, a path of doing an MBA with the aim of either setting up on your own as a startup, which many people do, or joining a profession, a job, an employer, which is both rewarding and fulfilling, and which takes you along the journey. And yes, earning money is important. However, during the course of what we will talk about today, I'll try to bring across something that your professors in statistics in term 1 would have told you. Mutually exclusive cases or not. These are not mutually exclusive cases. If you still remember your Venn diagrams from class 10, there is a very sweet spot at the intersection of purpose and a corporate career. And that sweet spot is somebody there? Brave soul? Go ahead. Go for it. You can't get it wrong, ma'am. I've got your eye. No, she's turning away. Somebody, that sweet spot is? Anyone? That's the name of your course. Pick the clues. Social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, sustainability. In many ways, it allows you to have the best of two very, very different worlds. You get what you want out of the corporate, the rigor, the professionalism, the earning, and yet you are able to make a very solid, direct contribution to society and the environment. The other theme that we'll run through is not only is it good for you as a business, there are enough studies to show that over a long term, companies which are connected and connected well, they make a lot more money than the companies which are not so connected with society and sustainability causes. So just keep this as a headlight and let's move on. In this phase of life, I'll take about 45 minutes. Is that okay with you? There'll be a few pauses in the middle and then you can attack me and you can violently disagree with me. I would love that. All right. I would not be surprised if the hostel night discussions are on the employer strategy or the sector strategy and things like that where you would want to find a job. Go ahead. But rest assured, as life goes by, so many new sectors will evolve, so many new companies will evolve, which did not even exist before. We are an older generation. If you look at the top companies of today, and today's newspaper again had a headline saying that X company has become the most valued company in the world with some $3.46 trillion. Which company is that? NVIDIA. These companies, or Apple, which it routinely overtakes and flips and all the rest of it, and many of them did not even exist. The Googles and the Microsofts, the industry didn't exist, the companies didn't exist. So there was no question of planning for these kind of things. So as your life also goes through, there is little difference on what many of these things would go by. Now, if you trust yourself that you've made it into IMT Ghaziabad, and with a bit of luck, you'll also make it out of here. I know exams and all that have to be cleared, but with a bit of luck, you will also get out of here. So if that is in place, rest assured and be confident that your rosy roti issues are taken care of. You should not doubt yourself on that. Have that confidence. And you've all come back from your internships. How were your summer internships overall? Was it very difficult? Okay. Not as difficult as it seems when you're from inside campus, right? So you'll deal with it. Trust yourself. You guys are among the best, and we'll go. Today, what we'll talk on is basically about your career and how can you help merge the head, which all of you have. That's why you are here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But also pay attention to your heart. And that is what will give you the true joy in life. And that is what will give a great degree of meaning. Let me just figure out how this moves. So very quickly to warm up. I know all of you who have been watching American elections are sick of red and blue. But tell me, what is this red and blue division that you see on the map? Very quickly. It's not difficult. Speak up. Just raise your hand and speak up. Hint. As soon as you walk out of the airport, you will notice it immediately into any of these countries. Somebody said, be confident. Don't be scared. Who's the brave soul? Left side drive. Who said it? Now see 4 hands go up that I said it. So the blues are those who drive on the left-hand side of the road, and the reds are those which drive on the other side of the road. This was very simple, I guess. So it's not so simple when you see even Japan, which was not a British colony, still drives on the left-hand side of the road. But let's complicate matters. You are second year, you're no longer first year. This is not a primer, so we'll ask you a more difficult question. Now, the world is split up in many, many more formats. What could this be? Fatafat. And all of you will notice this even before exiting the airport if you're traveling. Even before leaving the airport, you will realize this. For the first one, you have to step out to see on the road, left hand, right hand. This you don't have to step out. Yeah, go for it. Try. The answer is in your pockets. Try. Hint. Give you a hint. Does it help? Plug types, socket types, and why is it important? That unless the two match, it will not work. Unless the head matches with the heart, you might be a very rich pauper all your life. You can have all the money, but not have the joy and satisfaction that you need in life. Just like the plug has to match the socket. And the adapter which matches the two for you is your SSR course, which allows you to plug into any socket. Remotely makes sense or still too difficult? Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll ask a few more questions. So relax, take a deep breath. I'm not going to be quizzing you all the time. So just chill, catch your breath. You're on the nice sofas. I'm the one in the spotlight. So we do it. This gentleman, all of us seem to know. And when he passed away recently, there were far more tears shed for him than we would have for a normal businessman or an industrialist. Yes, he ran a very big empire, many companies and so on. But why were there so many? Why were people like you and me so emotionally impacted when he passed away? Anyone there, please, in the middle row? Did you feel something when he passed away? Okay, he's old, but still, did you feel that tinge of sadness? You didn't know him personally, but did you feel it? Yes, ma'am? The one in the center? Did you feel? Anyone? Kisi ko nahi? Yes. So why? Why was that? Because this gentleman reached into our hearts in some form or the other, though we did not know him directly. And at some point in time, all of us will also leave this planet. And maybe it's too early for youngsters to think about it, but we'd all like, I wish people remember me. But why would they, unless you've done your little bit for them? Just pause and think about it. There are richer businessmen than him, right? There were many richer businessmen than him. How many of you are doing marketing? Oh, so name some outstanding Indian marketeer of the last, whatever, in India or in alive, dead, doesn't matter, last 50, 100 years. Any top, what are the top names which come to your mind? Yeah? Speak up, speak up. Top Indian marketeer, who do you rate as that? Who? Alec Padamsee, okay? Any more? Marketing is easy. Come on, you can't have a wrong answer. Strategy flop हो गया, कोई बात नहीं, फिर relaunch कर देंगे. क्या? Prasoon Joshi, they're all admin. Yes, that is true. What if I put my vote for this gentleman? All the principles of marketing that you followed, segmenting. What is the other thing after that? Targeting. And so one more after that, positioning and all the rest of it. He was not always the man that you remember him on the right. Do you know when he came back to India, you know his broad life story? He went abroad, he studied, came back to Bombay, practiced law, then went to South Africa for about 20 years where he built a name. When he came back from South Africa, that was around 2015. This was still the gentleman, though he started wearing the Kathiawadi dress also, but he was still there. He changed into a dhoti only in 2021. Yes? Speak up. 1921, sorry. 1921. So 6 years he remained in shirt pant mode. Why do you think he changed? Brand positioning, relaunch? Yes. And incidentally, where did he change? Where did he first move into a dhoti from his trousers and dhoti? Anyone from South India here? Tamil Nadu? Take a guess, ma'am. One town in Tamil Nadu. And the dhoti in which he was shot is still preserved in that town. And where he first wore the dhoti, there's a statue and there's a Khadi Bhandar right there. A big city in Tamil Nadu, big town. Madurai, bang on. Madurai. Brilliant. It was not by accident that Mahatma Gandhi repositioned himself, came out, became a dhoti man, because he needed to connect with the audience. He knew his target, right? He knew what he was trying to do. He knew how he wanted to position it. And these are the little ways in which it markets. And if I say on the degree of influence he had, perhaps he was the greatest marketeer that we have seen in our lives. May feature in Kotler's next textbook, we never know. But as of now, it doesn't. But something for you to think about. So the principles of what you've learned, they do not disappear with selling chips or chips of semiconductor chips or eating chips or whatever else you choose to do in life. Those things will happen. But keep these thoughts also with you. One critical dimension, and this is a little bit of theoretical thing that you may just want to make a note of. You know, we've always talked in India, you need many licenses. I need a driving license. I need a license to do this. I need a license to open a factory. I need a license for this. There is something which is not a government issued license, but society issues it. And that's, in academia, they call it social license to operate. And it's almost like a pyramid. That first, do you even get accepted? When Gandhiji came back, but who are you? You've come in from South Africa. Okay, we've heard about you. And as you slowly go up and you cross the trust boundary, that is when everyone comes in with you, for you. Even as a company, as an employee, as a leader, when you get this, when they feel that social connect with you, is when you go up. It's very, very vital for all corporates, especially the ones which are working more in the field and so on. And when you go for your internship to the NGOs, etc., you will see that that is a very, very strong hidden power. And many companies, particularly the ones which are owned by, or have been run for centuries by the traditional business houses, they have a very powerful belief in this. Very strong, powerful belief in this. And the social license to operate is perhaps the most difficult license to get, because no government issues it. You cannot online fill up a form and make a payment and get it. You have to sweat it out. You have to earn it. And that is where an understanding of your SSR course will set you up for that, because there are very few people in whichever organization you will go to who will have the relevant understanding and expertise to actually get into this area. And without it, things will stop. Again, a Tamil Nadu example. There was a Tuticorin Sterlite plant. You've heard of it? Or there are various kinds of industries which shut down simply because society opposes it. Unless you have the society with you, it does not move. It does not work. So all of this gets encapsulated a little bit. We've all talked about, you've done financial management or financial accounting. At the end of the day, they keep saying, bottom line, the bottom line is this. What is bottom line? What is bottom line, sir? What profit? Net profit, PAT, PBT, so many profits they have in the accounting sums. I can never get a financial accounting problem right. So profit, as in financial profit. One of the important changes that is happening in society across is people are not looking at just one bottom line. The term that is now getting increasingly in use, and you may want to make a note of this and look it up later, is triple bottom line. Triple bottom line. Profit, yes, of course, money profit, but you also have to win with people, and you have to win with the planet, which is basically the environment. So it's essentially your sustainability side and your social side. All good companies now, in the annual reports, if you go through and you read the speeches of the chairman, will always talk about all these three aspects. So the era where you could only say, look, I've made a profit of this much. By the way, I've done so much damage to the environment, etc. You will find it difficult to fly. Society will hold you accountable, and it will impact the long-term returns of your firm. And therefore, if you're an employee of that firm, if the company is not making enough profits, you may also not get too much of extra income out of that. Okay, so let me pause here for a minute before we go to the next section. Or maybe just let me go through this. Do you know this gentleman? I bet all of you know this gentleman. Now that's a hint. Who is he? Philip Kotler. But why is Philip Kotler featuring here? Philip Kotler used to write books on marketing. Many years ago, he was one of the pioneers in writing a book on marketing for non-profit organizations. So if you are a marketeer, there is relevance for what you do, even in the not-for-profit sector. So when you spend your 10 weeks with the NGOs, with your marketing wisdom, you can actually help them sharpen their marketing using all the principles of marketing that you've read about in Philip Kotler. It is not a coincidence that they got into this years back. This gentleman, is it known to you? Again, very well known to you. Come again, louder. If you're confident, speak louder, otherwise whisper. Michael Porter. Competitive Advantage and all the other books we've read. But what is this? Competitive Advantage of Philanthropy, Corporate Philanthropy, by a famous strategy professor of Harvard Business School. All of these people have lent their knowledge, their wisdom into the broader social world. So you are not alone. So if you think that, look, for my exam, this is all I need to do, these are also people and professors, and the very best of them who have contributed to it. This is before your time. He's passed away 20 years back, before our time also. but I've put it because he was Peter Drucker, who's known as the father of modern management in a way. Famous for many things, but if you Google some of the best quotes in management, which are still doing the rounds today, have come from Peter Drucker. So as many years back as when Peter Drucker was active, which was largely in the 50s and 60s, what business can learn from non-profits? It is not a one-way street. I am an MBA. I am going to teach you how to run a non-profit. There is something that you will learn from the non-profit which will help your business also. It's a two-way street. And this priceless experience you have as an MBA student will give you a huge advantage when you join your firms, and people from different institutes will come together and will form that organization. You will be amongst the very few to know how the not-for-profits work and how they think. The last one. Leon Schiffman, I'm told, is a very popular author with you. And if you wonder how I know who are popular authors, then there's a little secret I will not let out. But tell me, you've heard about him on consumer behavior, marketeers? You've heard of the author? Right? So he passed away 3 years back, but way back in 1974, look at the title of the book that he's reviewing, Marketing and Social Priorities. These two go far closer hand in hand than has ever been imagined. Think about it, and suddenly your minds will open up to a whole series of possibilities. It's a complicated slide. I'll skip this for the moment. Essentially, in your broad realm of profit and things, the environment, social, and these will also come in. And you, the second-year students of IMT Ghaziabad, who have the privilege of doing, and I use the word privilege very deliberately because very few institutes offer this specialized program, can bring in this X factor when you go into your workplaces. Okay, so I'll take a brief pause, and please criticize me. Rotten tomatoes are also welcome, but you must have a reason for chucking them at me. I'm scared. Is everyone asleep? Those who are asleep, raise your hands. Okay, no hands going up. That means everyone's awake. Anything? Am I pitching it at the wrong spot? No disagreement so far? Then I'll tell you how murderers become successful managers. Maybe then you'll perk up. I'm sure you must have some reaction to some of the things that I have talked about. Any brave soul? Yes, sir. You are a brave man. Come. Boliye. Speak up. Okay, his question is those countries which are still developing should only focus on financial profits and not on anything else. So that we can pollute our atmosphere the same way that the Western world did in the last 150 years, which is the prime cause of global warming today, so that the inequalities in society can multiply 5 times, so that 100 years later, they have a huge problem to deal with? Very interesting. Hold. There's a word which has come, rules and regulations which have got imposed under the word CSR. How many countries have rules and regulations on CSR? Can you name it? Can you name it? Among major large economies, there is only one country which has it. Only one which has universal CSR. And that country is India. The first country which had, and they are smaller countries, so it was Mauritius in 2008. There are a few other countries like Nepal, which now have put a 1% kind of a CSR on the India model, but they are very minor countries. New Zealand does not have it. Indonesia has it, but that's only if you're extracting minerals from their spaces. A country like Bangladesh, which again influenced by India, but has it only for the financial sector and so on, not for everyone. Only one country has it. In the other countries, the faculty is not watching. It is up to you to be a good boy and not to cheat or to cheat in the exam hall. That honor is completely on you and for the society which is watching you. There is no regulation. This is what makes it complex. And in India, why do you think there's a CSR regulation? You know what the rough CSR regulation is? There are 2-3 types. The most common one. Are you aware of it? What is the CSR regulation? It's roughly 2% of your last 3 years average profit from a finance point of view. But that the government could easily have taxed. So much easier. Why make you do CSR? The answer is very explicitly spelled out. To bring in the management expertise of the companies and involve them in the development of the society in which they work. It's not just your money. It's also your skill. And you, as MBAs from IMT Ghaziabad, you will be significantly more skilled than a lot of other people. So when you are doing your CSR work, the quality of that, the impact of that will, of course, be much higher. Should be much higher if you've done your classes honestly and done your assignments and done it on time. Right? Did it surprise anyone that India is the only country which has such a rigorous CSR regulation amongst the major economies? No reaction? Okay. It's nice to have a little reaction. Otherwise, it's like doing an online class. It becomes difficult even for the speaker. All right. I'll appreciate if you respond. Okay. I know I'm disturbing your nap, but it's okay. I mean, I won't disturb the rest of the naps, but those who are awake, at least try and respond. All right. So you can make the difference. So now, very quickly, and about 15 minutes more, I'll tell you a short story, which is more about water, which we talked about. You've all read the Mahabharata or heard stories from the Mahabharata. Can you tell me what this scene is? Bhishma Pitama where? On the bed of arrows. Which day of the battle? 10th day of the battle. Good. Now you're talking. But what is happening? Bhishma Pitama was revered both by the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Bhishma Pitama felt thirsty. When Bhishma Pitama feels thirsty, he's no normal person. Everyone runs and in golden jugs or diamond jugs or whatever they had to get him water to drink. Does he take it? Turns his head a little aside. Arjun understands what he wants. Arjun takes out his arrow, shoots it in the ground, water sprouts out and straight into his mouth. Why is this tale important? The tale is important because the Mahabharata is dated about 5,000 to 6,000 years back, when there was water under the ground. If you look at the data today, the groundwater has gone so deep that Arjun's arrow would never have even reached the water level to have come up. So if you had to reenact this scene today, maybe even Arjun would have failed. And that is something that should bother you. Because in your lifetime, the nice showers that you have in the morning, etc., can all become a thing very quickly of the past if you are not sensitive to it. Okay. So, what is the biggest environment concern that we have today? Everyone talks about it. Tell me. Starts with C. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And in Hindi? In Hindi? Hindi or any other language? Yeah, tell me. No, Paryavaran Parivartan, too complex. India is not so complex. India is very direct and very pointed. Very simple. Batao, all of you are cribbing of so many things. Delhi mein ye problem hai, wo problem hai. Tell me. Somewhere is close to it, yes? Somebody got it there? Yes? Who mentioned it? Somebody there mentioned it. Jal Vayu Parivartan. Plain and simple. And if there's one thing you remember from this session today, please take that back. Water and air. It's that closely linked. Water and air change is what climate change comes to in India. And I'll very quickly go over through a lot of these a few slides. South Asia, where India is situated, is at the biggest risk of global warming. And one of the big risks of global warming, which has been talked about, this famous thing called IPCC stands as a long acronym. It's the World Meteorological Department and the UNEP had formed that from way back in 1992. And it started by saying, based on scientific evidence, maybe there is global warming. Then somewhere after 10 years, they said, yeah, it's likely there is global warming. Another by 2010, perhaps humans had something to do with it. The answer now is very blunt. There is global warming. Humans are the single cause of global warming. And if this global warming is not taken care of, it will impact your lives, our lives, and everyone's lives. Right now, not just human lives, but everything else which also impacts human lives. So read about it, particularly the IPCC 6. If you Google it, you will just get a short primer on it. And they talk of two very powerful concepts, which keep happening all the time. Extreme events, severe flood, severe drought, forest fire. But more than that, they talk of compound events. Going back to your statistics, compound event is when two events occur at the same time or in near proximity to each other. Then the multiplicative impact is huge. This is, of course, Google simulation. But just to tell you that these are pictures that we've all seen, what a 2-degree rise in water would say. Otherwise, you say, oh, 2 degrees, it's hotter, let's turn up the AC. Doesn't work. The polar ice caps, other things will melt, seaside will rise. Not only flooding, salinization of the soil, that is your soil will get into salt, and groundwater reserves, which is where Arjuna had pumped his water up, and all of you, me, everyone, we are pumping up our water. That will get completely contaminated with salty water. It impacts you and your lives, and that is why you need to be aware about it. It's not something that will spare anyone based on ye MBA hai, isko impact nahi hoga, ye rickshaw puller hai, isko impact hoga. It will impact all of us and impact all of us equally. Okay. So whether there are simulations on some other places, this is London, this is what a 4-degree warming would do. It is as real as that, and that's not something that we should forget. So see the part I've circled in red. So while we all talk of climate change, never forget that climate change is just the other side. It is primarily a water crisis, two sides of the same coin. So a few more pictures very quickly to go through. Is there a water crisis here? Tell me what is the crisis? Looks nice and happy. Somebody at the back? Yes, sir. No, water crisis. Okay. Pesticides is fine, yeah, but water crisis. Too much of water. Where is the water coming from? Underground. Punjab, India's greenest state, is at the highest risk of desertification. Because once all the water is pumped out, then what are you going to do thereafter? So one of the very, very serious threats that all of you need to be aware of, and you are free to look it up. What is the problem here? This I'm going to reserve, and I'll ask the Honorable Director. Bataiye sahab, problem kya hai? Professor Vishal. Over-dependence on groundwater, yes, but something more sharp. And you mentioned it while we were having a photograph here, so that's a hint. Spot the men in the picture queuing up for water. Water is very squarely, there's a gender divide, strong, powerful gender divide. The pressure of water falls on the woman. We've all seen nice pictures of women carrying headloads of ghadas and so on. Makes a nice painting or a photograph. Have you seen a man do it? This is how strong it goes into other realms. So when you are going with the NGOs, I'm sure some of the NGOs may be working on gender issues and so on. Think about this photograph and think of other places where you have water shortage, the extreme dependence on men. Water problem here. Too much of water is also a problem. Too much of vitamins is also a problem, right? So flood doesn't do it. What's the problem here? Snowless winter. Snowless winter, how does it affect water? Who will feed your rivers, the Gangas and the Jamunas, through the rest of the summer season? Serious issues, quite obvious. Look at the length of the rope the lady has. Water is deep down below. And in the middle of all this, there are tribal women who are teaching you something you and I learned in geography in school, looking at contour maps, because water follows one universal truth. It will flow from higher to a lower. If you remember your contour maps, height, higher to a lower. One universal truth on which entire bunch of hydrology, etc. is there. Is that too much? Overdose? Okay. So a couple of cartoons just to place it in perspective. You can read it. Like you, I also want to earn a lot of money, but then we have to do it carefully, because what's the point of earning a lot of money if everything is destroyed and you have nothing left to eat? All the rivers are polluted. So developing countries go ahead, pollute the river, khatam kar do, let all the fish stock dry, let put all the pesticides and other things in the agriculture, do it. What are you left with? Lots of cash. Karoge kya? Leaves you with something to think about. So the balance is important. A similar one. Yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for shareholders. Great valuation. What is it called? Unicorn, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, if you're not left with it, you can't only survive. Maybe stretching the point, but as long as we think of it, the book on the left was the first report ever which said, all this is not just good to do. It has an economic cost. Nicholas Stern in 2007 published this book, The Economics of Climate Change. At the end of the day, and that's the reason why I'm harping on this, it'll affect your life, your earning potential. All of you want that I must have this car by this era and so on and so forth. And I'll have my first 1 crore salary by X period of time, Y period of time. If these things are not in balance, might be tougher than you think. And that's why it concerns you, it concerns me, it concerns all of us in this room. And this is my reason why for MBA students. This is an African thing of Ubuntu. Ubuntu starts by saying, I can't be happy if the others around me are not happy. It's a little polar opposite from the classic brute capitalism we might have heard of in the past, that everything for me, winner takes all, let them starve. How does it matter? The African wisdom is very clear. You can't be happy, and I'm using the word happy because at the end of the day, the role of money is to bring happiness, right? To bring you the comforts. You can't be happy if the others are not happy. Blend it in. Think about it. Nobody is saying you should not be rich, but is it equitably split? Does that impact the overall happiness? Think about it. Okay, so I think I'm running a little out of time, so I'll skip one whole section that I had, but I just want you to leave that there is a lot that you can do, which matters a hell of a lot. Do you have patience to listen to I'll skip this for the moment, to a cricket story? Kahani sunna? How many of you have watched the film 83? Okay, enough. So who's the man who's holding the cup? Mohinder Amarnath. Okay, so I'll very quickly go and I'll tell you where the head and heart come in. Whose son was Mohinder Amarnath? Who was Lala Amarnath? What is so special about Lala Amarnath? First cricket century for India and also independent India's first cricket captain and legendary figure, not just in India, even in Pakistan and so on. So imagine if you are the Lala's son. It's almost like being Amitabh Bachchan's son or something like that. The pressure is already on you. That if my father did so much, so everyone expects I'll also do it. So in the summer of 1969, which was the year when man landed on the moon, two important cricketers made their test debut for India. Matches were not like T20 now, so people remembered what those matches were. The one on the left was Gavaskar's long-term compatriot by the name of Vishwanath, said to be India's finest batsman of the 70s. He made a century. What did a good old Mohinder make? What did Mohinder make? 0. Lala Amarnath ka beta और first match में 0. He was dropped from the team. Long vanvas, 7 years, came back in 1976. And those of you who like a little bit of cricket history may want to read about the 1976 and West Indies, when the West Indies fast bowlers, and those are the era without helmets. Only one batsman batted, everyone else absent, hurt, absent, hurt, absent, hurt, because they said, look, I'm not going to go out there and get killed in this bowling. So this guy comes back into the team after 7 years and goes in. But he gets dropped from the team again. Then comes a patch in life which some of you may already have seen and some of you will certainly see. Starting from about October of 1982, when India went to Pakistan, and that was when Imran Khan was at his fiery best. And India lost big time. All the great Indian spinners got packed off. Vishwanath ended his career. Only Mohinder Amarnath stood up and scored 3 centuries in 6 test matches. Everything else was Imran Khan's. Immediately after this, India went to the West Indies. And again, pre-helmet era. And India was not producing fast bowlers the way we do now. At that time, again, and there's a large commentary which talks about he got hit on the head. And yet when he came back, his first ball was against Holding, who charged and delivered another lightning bouncer. Amarnath coolly hooked it for a 6. So 3 centuries in Pakistan against Imran Khan, 2 in back-to-back. And then came the golden moment. Man of the match in the semi-final, man of the match in the finals. Could life get any better? All in a span of 7-8 months. Then what happened? West Indies came back to India to play a test series. Amarnath was our star batsman. Kanpur test, 0-0. Delhi test, 0-1. Dropped from the team for the next 2 matches. Brought back for the 5th test at Calcutta. 0-0. 1 run and 5 zeros by the great Mohinder Amarnath. That was not the era of trolls, but even then, Amarnath became lampooned as Amar Not. 0 banata hai. People forgot everything else. For most of you, those of you who've been topping your schools and everything, and then you're dropped from a pedestal overnight, how would you have reacted? It would have emotionally broken most of us. Right? Amarnath was made of Sarna stuff. He went back, played Ranji Trophy, got back into the team, and continued playing till 1988-89. The whole issue is, I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but when he falls, how much he bounces back up. That is very, very critical and crucial. And to me, this is where the head and the heart have to come together, which is the theme for today's conversation with you. It's not only the mind and the head which works. You have to make your heart a part of the important decisions, just the way as you do in romance. But even in other things, make heart a part of your important life decisions too. It makes a difference. And that is what your heart will tell you, I must contribute to society, I must take care of my environment, and do it at the same time along with taking care of my own self. Okay, so the last few pictures and then I'm done. Anyone still awake? Any voice to hear you're awake? Somebody's awake. So I thought you might want to know, what was my life like just 3-4 days before the Diwali break? So I'll give you a photo tour. This is me with the Bhil tribals deep inside in the district of Banswara on the Madhya Pradesh-Gujarat border. And I can tell you, it is any day more refreshing than sitting in an air-conditioned room making one more PowerPoint presentation or kind of doing one more analysis. Any day. Touch, feel, small joys of life. The kids. Do you put a price on this? CTC of whatever, 10 lakhs versus CTC of 5 lakhs plus this thrown in. Take your pick. Choice is yours. We are with women who have performed and driven something called Halma. Have you heard of something called Halma? Halma is a tribal practice that if you are in problems, the whole community will come together to help you out. And here they all came together because this water body, which feeds 6 villages, had a big breach, and the water was not holding at all, and they would be out of water. They said, to hell with the government. They got together, put their thing in, and led by the woman to my right, this the lady in blue, galvanized everyone together and got it done. No cribbing, no complaining. Karna hai, karo, take charge of your own destiny. And when you stand with these women, you really feel small. Ki humne zindagi mein kya kiya? It's not always work. Life is good. Rest assured, when you are out there in the villages, it's nice. And similarly, as is having a tribal meal. But this, it is not an either-or situation, what we talked about, right? It is not only this and that. You can leave a corporate, you can have a corporate life, a good corporate life, yet you can work and contribute and deal with society. And that is when I would think the fullest joy and benefit you will get. And that is what this particular course that you are about to embark on sets you up beautifully for. To use strategy and marketing language, you have a competitive advantage. There are very few people who are trained in this. You are amongst the few people who are trained in this. Corporate India needs people who are interested and trained in this. Make it work to your advantage. Even consider making it the headline of your CV at placement time. You never know which way it goes. With that, I rest my peace. It was intended to be a conversation. Since I wasn't getting too much response for you, you had to hear me out. But again, all open for Rotten Tomatoes and everything else which comes with it. Some brave soul, any comment? No tomato, nothing? I put everyone to sleep nicely. Tomatoes are expensive, maybe. Kuch aur? At least. Was there any part of the talk that you liked in particular or didn't like in particular? Yeah, please. It's very disheartening for a speaker to be met with a absolute stunned silence. Yeah, go ahead.
So when you talked about the triple bottom line, and yes, everybody is even, we are the only among the top economies that are contributing, have strict CSR guidelines, but we also have to look what aspects of that hold to, like, we can always go towards more sustainable processes, but there is also a big, as you said, that a lot of things that you just showed in tribal community and in Africa, that all of them are together. That's why they're able to do it. So shouldn't, more than corporates, shouldn't be the governing country should come together in solving that? Because still, if we see the production cost of most of the articles in China are much cheaper, and still one country generating 30% of the waste, and second country with only handful of population generating 15% of the total waste and only producing 12% of the global output. Is that fair? And then these countries comment on us generating, when we hold almost 1.4 billion of the world's population and generate only 7% of the global waste.
Give it back to them, but only partly true in what you said. One of the ladies I met today had done her summers at Aditya Birla Group. Yeah. Aditya Birla Group is one of the world's largest producers of aluminium through Hindalco and some subsidiaries of Hindalco, which are actually based in other continents. You know why they collect all the aluminium back? It makes sense for them to do so. It is much cheaper to recycle aluminium than to produce virgin aluminium. So once the determination comes in, the steps will follow. Technology will only improve to enable you to do such things. Rome was not built in a day. But is your mindset right that I'll make the economics work? Yes, it will work only if it makes more money. That's a universal truth. If you can help a company make more money by coming out with a sustainable solution, do you think they'll reward you for it?
Yes, they will.
I guess they would, right? So that is the pathway to follow. Just because we've been living life in a particular way does not mean that there are not alternative ways. And the world is replete with many stories. We've come you can't put an absolute sudden break to a lot of things which are happening. Plastics, for example, is one of the issues which gets talked about a lot. But are we moving in that direction? Are people like you going to be, I'm the change? Are you going to be the change for that?
So we will try, of course.
Are you going to be the change for that? Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
That's it. One voice in the room. Anyone else will be the voice for change. Sir.
So thank you so much. I think it's very, very insightful. I had a follow-up to what he just mentioned. I think, quite frankly, a lot of us contest the fact that, the other nations point fingers at us and whatever else, and we're not doing much about it. But, should it be about them? Are we happy with the state of our cities? Are we happy with the state of the cities? If you look at around us, for that matter, and look at come September, October, November, we wait for better wind conditions so that the pollution can lift up and we can breathe normally. What is it doing to our kids? What kind of life are they going to lead? So it's not, okay, while we, as India might have, some structures in place, but the implementation is where the issue is. And then over a period of time, I think a lot of us got so sensitized and in a sense, so indifferent that, we are happy with the fact that yes, October, November, December will go into the, down the drain. But imagine the impact the kids will have in the long term. Will they be able to live in such societies? That's the bigger question.
I would not even take a national perspective to it. Take an entire planetary perspective to it. Across the planet, every part of the world is based. California looks very nice to you. Are you aware it's one of the most critically water-short places in the world? Similarly, where there's air, it is water. There are serious issues. But one can be regulation. How many regulations do we follow? Do you stop for red lights or do we cut our red lights? Finally, the change has to start coming from within and we have to start driving that change. It's not going to happen overnight. But there are certain things which have happened overnight. And when people like you say that I'm willing to be the change, that is when it starts. And it's a global problem. All the issues, the big cities of the world today, they are not the Paris and the Londons anymore. Big cities are Kinshasa, Cairo, Jakarta, the Indian cities, Karachi, Dhaka. Those are the big cities of the world. But that is the one aspect of it. So there are lots of problems, but unless we make a concerted effort, otherwise it is kya farak padta hai ek aadmi se, let it go. Is it ever going to make a U-turn? It won't. You are starting out on lives. You have a chance. Influence your corporates, work together, work with governments, work with society in general, and then slowly but steadily change happens. And change has happened in so many things in the world. It's not always south, but it's not easy. But that is why if it was so... Hello? Yeah, if it was so easy, do you think there would be a need for a course like that? If the world was always sustainable and everyone was already socially responsible, you wouldn't need the course. No? You would say, oh, close kar do, ab zarurat nahi hai, it served its purpose. Right? Yes, sir.
Is the market capitalization in the country. We contribute so little, and you keep aside the Tatas, and some of the companies which really contribute don't come in forefront. And you could just see in the annual report, or how does an employee contribute when a company doesn't have a clear vision where in which area it wants to contribute, how much it wants to contribute. And some companies make so much, but the contribution is so little, and it really remains in the shareholder copy and just to be put on LinkedIn and to be published. So
I wouldn't be an expert on 500 companies, but I can tell you about 5 companies. Because 5 companies, by some coincidence, I have happened to look at in recent times. One of which has been the Aditya Birla Group. Aditya Birla is a conglomerate. It does many kind of things, from gold jewelry now to aluminium and so on. Their spends on CSR are more than twice what is mandated. Because the way they work, the matriarch of that family decides what has to be done for social good. Companies just have to pay up. Right? Godrej has a very powerful good and green program. And Godrej, if some of you, some people from Bombay here? Nobody from Bombay. There are a lot of these mangroves that you hear about. All that is privately owned property of the Godrejes held by a trust. But they do not allow companies to take any offset out of that. Well, that is for social good. You make your businesses more powerful. And these are changes and these are evolving because even the awareness around these things is emerging. Think of it, CSR as a concept, as a law in India is only 10 years old. 10 years is actually fairly new, right? It's also evolving. But are these the changes which are happening, and are they moving in the right direction? There are certainly concerted efforts. Is it enough? Is everyone doing it? Start by stopping at the red light, you and me, ourselves, before we ask others to do so. But if we don't do it, and when 600 students go into so many different companies, if they don't ask these pokey questions to their management in the town hall, what are you doing about keeping our environment safe and within the realm? Who will? Right? 600 IMTNs. Are you willing to ask that question when you start your careers next May or June? Start with it. And you have to drive it. You have to be the change. Every time you forget कि हाँ कुछ नहीं होता है, I am the change. If Gandhi ji had done the same thing when he had come back, यहाँ कुछ नहीं होता है, British Sarkar is going to stay here forever, nothing would have happened. He got rid of his shirt and pant and got into a dhoti because something had to be done. Right?
Thank you.
So no perfect answer, but it's a pathway, but we have to start. And these are the young people who can put that energy and the pressure in along with running their
I
regular
think
business.
the good question would be to ask in the town hall, what are we doing for such
Yes,
social causes?
and start by saying, okay, what if we are willing to volunteer one day in a month or
Yeah.
once even in 2 months? Small things make a difference because the movements build up. It's no magic. It's not going to happen overnight. See the pictures I showed you. They didn't happen overnight. Even these are the results of 3-4 years before some of these things have come. Even the women who did the halma to repair it, they were all in the ghungat inside house. That no, if you believe it, you have to give them the support. Not everything will be done by your hands, but are you also energizing those who have the intent and giving them the strength and support? Which is what your faculty is doing to you students. They're giving you because you have to fight the battle yourself. The coach is not the player. So think of these perspectives. Shall I? Yes, sir. Please go. Please go, shoot. Yeah. Very few hands up. Go, shoot. Let's have one more hand up ready. I'm sure you have some question. 10 weeks. Yeah, okay. 10 of your Saturdays are going to go in working with the NGO. So you might as well enjoy it.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
Vivek Bhardwaj. I'm pursuing marketing here. So it's not that we have been put to sleep. It's just that we all agree with you, what you're saying. So it was really insightful for all of us. And I think I speak for everyone present here. So my question is, when we talk about management, one word that is the most abused is insight, right? And I say it with a lot of seriousness. And after that, if you look at the next word would be probably impact. So when I and all of us, let's say, go to our organization, what can we do except for asking these questions to our managers? Because everything comes at a cost, right? So what on our personal level we can do to make things sustainable? I mean, you can obviously turn off the lights and all those things, but what else?
Start by doing that.
Yeah, I do that.
Start by doing that. Start by getting that dripping tap fixed, reporting it to the estate office and making sure that in your hostel, the tap is not dripping. Start with the small things. Your consciousness will come in. When Mahatma Gandhi picked up the fistful of salt at Dundee, was that much quantity of salt enough to bring down the empire? But it did. Start by doing that. And there's one little bit which I wanted to talk about, I missed. There's a lot for you to learn when you are on this, during the part of the course. You will learn marketing, applied marketing with the NGOs. When you're working with the NGOs, the budgets are much smaller than of corporates. Every penny and every rupee counts. And most of it is donation money. It's not your money. You have to be ultra careful with it. Right? You get to make strategy because who will make the strategy for the NGO? You have to help them sharpen it or refine it. Who will do it? So these kind of things, and those who are in data analytics, operations, you can help them with it. So there's a lot of selfish takeaway for you, which you can kind of make it work for yourself. Where else will you get this kind of real management practice? Yes, sir. There was somebody that side. You had a hand up. Yeah.
So my question is that when we talk about CSR spending of companies, so how well structured this overall in India? And also, do you think that stringent laws regarding the CSR spending, that the percentage that the companies have to spend, if it's not that, then the companies can channelize that same fund in actual production processes or optimizing them better way, so that it can affect the environment in a more better, efficient manner in spite of spending it on random
Perfect.
CR activities.
It is not an either or situation. So the first part to your question, India is actually very well regulated and getting better regulated by the day. The board, it has at the board level, the annual action plan for the CSR has to be signed off at the very board level. Then how it has to be implemented, reported, etc. That is getting tighter and tighter every year. Should companies invest more in making sure that their production processes are more efficient and so on? Of course they should. And they should do not because of charity. They will do it because they will make more money in the long term. There will be a time when the community will say, I will refuse to buy a product from a polluted company or a company which is causing pollution. They need to retain their competitive advantage. That is the pressure that will come on them. It has to happen. There is no other go. It might take time. We are not there. But, and it's not just in India specifically, across the world, but it will happen. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you think these industries, like the defense industries, like the Scorpion submarine building that is happening, these could be nuclear powered as well, right? And even the syn goods, like the tobacco industries or the alcohol industries, these ever be sustainable or socially responsible?
I'm no expert on that, but I can tell you nuclear power is supposed to be the cleanest form of energy available.
I agree.
Right? And in terms of tobacco, the leading company for tobacco in India is a company by the name of ITC. And if you were to go onto their website, etc., there are some very conscious, they're aware of the fact that they are sin good, but the number of things that they are doing consciously to bring about sustainability in the farming processes and the water efficiency is very, very advanced. Certainly, you should take a look. Don't prejudge just by the end product. Just look at what are the kind of steps that it goes through and the intent. The direction seems to be right, but I am no referee. I am no judge. You can make your calls on that, but do your research. Similarly, when it comes to your placement time, which is the most important time, wake up, placements. Yeah, okay, everyone's up. Placement time. When you will of course look at the package that they are offering you, very important. But I assume you'll also want to have a little bit of sense of pride about the badge, about the organization that you're joining from campus. So do your research and interest. Do you feel that you'd feel proud and happy to join that from campus? Okay. Okay, I think all questions have dried up and I've put everyone back to sleep. But think about it. It's your life, your career. Wish you all success. And I'm sure that this will be a significant differentiation for you as you embark on your professional journeys. If any of you are interested in following me on LinkedIn, I'm reasonably regular, and Professor Kasturi talked about it as well. That's how I met her. Just type my name in. As of now, there is no other person by the name of Shraman Jha. The spelling is right there. If you would like to follow me, and you'll get little small tidbits of insight around some positive stories and themes around how change is possible and how you can be the change, please do so. That will be wonderful if you can lend your voice, even on social media, to a cause like this. Can I take that for a yes, or is that a no? Thank you. So I do hope some of you will connect or follow and lend your voice. The change has to begin with you. You are the change, finally. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for such an inspiring speech. It helps us realize that we can all, with good intentions in our hearts and a will to do something, strive to make the world a better place.
As we conclude this event, I request Dr. Akash Arara to give the word of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shravan Jha, for bringing this flavor of social license, three Ps, bottom lines, market for non-profit organizations, climate change, and why profit and sustainability balance is required. And finally, your head and heart story of cricket story, actually. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. As we come to the close of today's I Am the Change talk, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you who contributed to make this event a success. First and foremost, we are privileged to have Mr. Shravan Jha, the CEO of Hindustan Unilever Foundation, as our chief guest speaker. Your dedication and insightful preparation truly enriched the event, and your address has left a lasting impact on all of us. We are deeply grateful for your valuable time and commitment, sir. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to our director, sir, Professor Vishal Talwar, for the continuous support and guidance and providing direction throughout the planning of this event. Your leadership has been instrumental. A special thanks goes to Professor Rakesh, our Associate Dean, for being a guiding force and offering meaningful suggestions. A special mention to Professor Kasturi Das for discussing the SSR course and sharing other relevant information with all of us the way from US early in the morning. Uh, I also want to thank our 15 NGO partners and our around 30 faculty mentors who deserve a big thank as well. Without your collaboration, the SSR course would not have been able to meet its objective, and we are deeply appreciated your support. To our students, your cooperation and dedication are what drive the success of the SSR course. Your enthusiasm and commitment to the spirit of joy of contribution are what is essentially required for this course. I would also like to thank or basically acknowledge the continuous support from the PGP office. We are grateful to PGP chairperson, Professor Bernali, PGP co-chairperson, Professor Gurmeet, for their support, along with PGP office in charge, Bhaguna sir and Neeraj ji, for their assistance. My thanks also goes to our FPM chairperson, Professor Gunjan Malhotra, and FPM office in charge, Mr. SP Agrawal, as well as the admission team, Mr. Somesh Gupta, Rajkishore Pandey sir, and Priyanka ma'am, and the placement office, Mr. Anil Kumar and team, for their valuable support. Finally, I would like to recognize the tremendous effort of our SAR team, co-chair Professor Sapna Tyagi, and support by senior members, Professor Ranjana, Professor Nivisha, Professor Costa, Professor Poonam, and of course, our hardworking and dedicated team member, Shalini ma'am. Your contribution have actually been the backbone of this event. I would also like to thank our enactors team and our anchor, Kamal and Vaibhavi, and the student affair team for their help in managing this event. Thank you all for making today's event a memorable one. Thank you all. So by this, we end the event. Thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this event. All the best for your placements.